Hey, I'm Supats, lifelong solopreneur. Now living my life with only one passion to help solopreneurs to launch their digital products on fast track so that they can be profitable as fast as within 1 week, and they want to scale, they can join the membership. And as a bonus, I show them how they can sell their digital products all over the world using affiliates. Without further delay, let's get started. I have been podcasting New Beginning Inspiration for you over 3 years. I have interviewed many guests, but there are very few, or I can say this is the first interview where it is really a timely interview because right now there is so much going on whether the TikTok will stay here or not, and what is the future of TikTok and all. And here we have a pro. He has a TikTok agency. So, of course, that is not the only introduction he has. He does multiple things, and that you will come to know as you listen to this episode. So, without further delay, let me invite Paul. And Paul, stage is all yours, okay? Means you are welcome to New Beginning Inspiration for You podcast. And we want to know about your story. How did you get started into your business? So, please tell us more about that.
Sure. No, thank you for having me. It all goes back to I went to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania with a focus on entrepreneurial management, and then went into film and television as a producer and writer, and had an office on the Sony lot eventually, and sold a script for $1 million, and then the entrepreneurial side of my brain kicked in. And when my family was on a trip and everybody had their favorite products and wished they could have them in miniature size, and there was this new thing called e-commerce in 2004, people were trusting putting their credit cards online for the first time. And I love businesses that capture things that are changing in society and changing in sort of business culture too. And seeing that opportunity, we sort of tried out. This was, I'll say, a side hustle before the idea of a side hustle began. And 3 months later, had a warehouse and 5 employees, after just 500 square feet. A start with me, no employees and a computer, and I was still as a producer, and then had to switch careers, and then grew that e-commerce business. Minimus.biz is the website. It still exists 20 years later. But what happened was brands assumed we were manufacturing all of these miniature products, travel size toiletries, single serving food items, and things like that, which is, we have 2,500 SKUs of that on the website, but we're really just sourcing those from brands like Procter and Gamble, all the way on down to small brands. But since they were assuming we were manufacturing, I said, no, we're not. I can't help you with your barbecue sauce or your shampoo, but let me see what I can do to help. And I went to all these factories in Southern California, and they all said, how many millions of pieces do you want? And I said, aha, here's another change in, sort of societal stuff. Before e-commerce, to be an entrepreneur, you really had to have a lot of capital, which meant you had to have large, these factories were built for large production runs, people who were coming out of the gate with their business in a much bigger way. And now, with the sort of new age of entrepreneurship, people start small and scale up. But there was no factory really to support them. So we launched minimusproducts.biz, and it's a facility with 80 pieces of equipment, and lab coats and hair nets, and FDA registered and kosher certified and organic certified. And we can also do OTC for topicals. And we're unique in the country in that we do food, beauty, personal care, supplements. We do liquids, powders, particulates, packets, stick packs, bottles, jars, cans, bags. So then what happened is people said, great, you're doing my mini size, now do my full size. And they said, well, wait a minute, with your e-commerce business, you go straight to consumer, and you also go wholesale, which I skipped a little earlier. We service hundreds of market segments, including the astronauts on the space station, where since the days of the space shuttle, we've been supplying them with their condiment packets and cheese and hummus, and I've even shipped fruitcake into space, which has its own story. But So we said, sure, we can help you do your fulfillment also. And all of a sudden, we ended up being a 3PL, third party logistics fulfillment business, and that's minimusfulfillment.biz. And then we had another business where one of the big major food companies came to us and said there's some issues happening in food service distribution. So we opened a warehouse in Ohio and leveraged our giant FedEx account with our 3PL fulfillment business so we could ship big boxes full of snacks directly to food service operators on behalf of these national buying groups that consolidate the buying power of tens of thousands of cafeterias, basically corporate, university, hospital, hotel cafeterias, and we ship the snacks to them on behalf of the food brands. And then another business developed with all these celebrities and creators who want to be entrepreneurs but need an operational partner. And we have all that infrastructure and business know-how. And so we can partner with them and also bring them product innovations from the food scientists, chemists, and inventors that we work with, and the white spaces we see in a lot of these industries, and partner with them doing that. And we're actually doing a capital raise related to that business, since everybody was coming in, every agent, manager, publicist, marketing firm sending us some legendary celebrities and things. So that's been interesting. But the latest that you alluded to in the beginning was several months ago launching a TikTok agency, and we even built a live selling studio inside my warehouse to do live broadcasting. And that came about partnering with an agency that was doing this in China, selling on Douyin, which is owned by ByteDance, the same parent company that owns TikTok here in the US. And when TikTok in the US brought over a lot of their, or a handful, I should say, of these Chinese agencies to help with live selling and working with creators and talent, because it's not really something we do here a lot of in the United States, other than like QVC and Home Shopping Network. But that's a bit different than doing this in sort of social commerce. And so they, when these agencies came over, this one realized they needed a partner in the US, not only to help bring in talent, the creators who can go on air and help sell product, but also understanding not only the business culture in the US, but also the just regular culture of what kind of products and how to communicate and how to do the selling differently than they do in China. Because in China, 30%, more than 30% of all e-commerce is done with live selling, and it's virtually non-existent here in the United States. So that's why TikTok sees that as the future here in the US. We're just about 5 years behind China in developing and evolving the e-commerce into a lot of this live selling, and so they want to be the pioneers
No, no,
of that.
because
But
I
I'll shut up
have an
now and
e-commerce
let you
business
ask
and
more
I'm
questions.
learning a lot. So even I need to implement all those things in my business. But now, I started just few years back and
Yep.
just couple of years back, and that was very easy. But you started 21 years back, and it is more like you are one of the pioneers because it was not that much known that time. 21 years back means it was, I think it was just in the
Yeah.
beginning stage, and still you achieved so much because
But
oh,
I'll tell you, it was easier back then. The reason why is in the early days of e-commerce, first of all, there was a lot less competition, just for anything.
oh
But
yeah,
to pay for a click on Google was 5 cents. You could get blogs to write articles, and people actually read blogs. You could put banner ads. People actually clicked on them. Um, 99% of emails
99%.
got
Oh my
open and
goodness,
read.
nowadays people say if
So
your
the
open rate is 30%, it is a
yeah.
good rate. Oh,
Yeah, boy, if you're more than 10%, it's a good rate these days. So yeah, so it's definitely changed. And even back then there really wasn't much, there was no social media, so there was no social media advertising like Facebook and Instagram. And the challenge has been coming out of COVID in 2023, was a real major hit that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, that happened to these smaller e-commerce businesses in the country. And a lot of them have gone out of business, can't pay their bills. We see that because we have a 3PL business and a contract packaging facility. But that's because what happened was you had all of the brick and mortar places in the country that put a lot of their budget during COVID, since they were closed, into their e-commerce business. And the place they put it is Facebook and Instagram advertising. That's where everybody was getting all their customers. And at the same time, Apple allows you to opt out of your data And so all of a sudden, for an advertiser, where it might have cost them $10 to acquire a customer, all of a sudden cost them $40 to acquire a customer on Facebook and Instagram. And so that was devastating to a lot of these businesses that relied on that advertising for their customer base, putting them a lot of them out of business or in serious jeopardy. And there really wasn't anything to replace that. The closest thing actually is TikTok. And the value of TikTok is, first of all, it's free in a sense. You can, if your content is good enough, the algorithm does the advertising for you and pushes it out there to people as long as you create content that people want to consume. So if you're just sitting there talking about your product and its attributes and everything, nobody cares. But if you create something that's entertaining and engaging and emotionally connecting, and people engage with it, then the algorithm will put that out to more people. You can enhance that with advertising on TikTok, obviously, and really grow that faster, and sort of juice the algorithm a little bit to do that. But right now, that's really the main value proposition for a lot of these small brands. So with some of these issues, happening around TikTok, the last place they have to even do anything after the industry being devastated by ad rates going up in Facebook and Instagram, is highly, highly problematic. I think more than even people are reporting because of that phenomenon. Everybody moving into TikTok as
Yeah,
their marketing and
no,
advertising
sorry, no, I
solution.
totally
The
agree
other
with
thing
you
is to
about
work.
the
Yeah,
Facebook and Instagram because I have various accounts on Facebook, even on Instagram, and I have thousands and thousands of followers on both. But if I post, I just see means a handful of likes, and because the algorithm is favoring towards paid ads, and it's very hard to have the organic reach, and yeah, and TikTok, it is a little different story. That
oh yeah,
algorithm
you,
means
you, you
if
can't get it.
your
Yeah,
content is good, then
right,
basically it can be seen. And yeah, the same video
right.
if I
People
put
will
on
see it. Yeah, yeah,
Instagram story and on TikTok and even on Facebook story, I'm pretty sure means whatever number of followers I have on TikTok, I'm pretty sure at least 2 to 500 people will watch that video. But I cannot guarantee that on Instagram or Facebook, even though I have
yeah,
thousands of followers out there. So
yeah, yeah. And this is something that not a lot of people are really talking about. Is that migration of eyeballs and the ability to get eyeballs. I see a lot of talent that we work with our agency where the amount of followers and views and things they have on TikTok is far greater than that on Instagram. And that is because the content they're creating, the algorithm on TikTok is putting it out there to more people faster, better. And that way, they're able to get more audience also. So it's not just businesses, it's also individual
and I
creators and
totally agree with you
their ability to
because
gain
small
audience.
businesses, they're not surviving. I see the trend is like that. Most solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, they quit their business before they launch their first product. And many entrepreneurs don't see second year in their business. Those
Yeah.
who see second year, many of them don't see fifth year in the business. And we need to reverse that trend because they are putting lots of efforts, and they are solopreneurs especially. They are wearing many, many hats, and it's not easy. It's not easy, and still they are trying to pursue their dream. They are trying to convert their passion into profit, and they are finding it is very, very hard. And what you mentioned means basically if they follow the set routine, yeah, means there is a chance
Yeah.
for them.
If you think about it, from sort of the macroeconomic level, before the internet, before e-commerce, big brands had methods to get customers and advertise and get in retail stores and all that. They still do, sort of no matter what happens with the internet and e-commerce. They're so large and so entrenched They might move a little bit, in their profitability and sales and everything, but they're still going to survive. But the smaller businesses that rely on e-commerce, for the most part, or for a major portion of their business, or let's say half their business is e-commerce even or more, and all of a sudden something happens to their advertising rates on Facebook and Instagram that make them go upside down. We had that with a customer that half their business came from that, and all of a sudden they saw they were losing money on every sale, because their ad rates had gone up, and they had to cut their entire multi-million dollar, budget on Facebook and Instagram, and retract and retrench, their business. Um, and but for ones, smaller than them, they all are going out of business,
Yeah,
because
and
there's
see
no
means
other
basically
way they
even
can
if you
get
see when you said
customers.
that during
And
COVID, big companies came online, and it's not like that they just had infrastructure. They created infrastructure on online business, but they also, for example, SEO. Big companies they have multiple keywords, so means even during the organic search they will always beat the small entrepreneur because you cannot beat those number of
oh yeah,
keywords. So even if they
yeah.
don't do ads, still they have this organic benefit automatically.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and you've touched on, it's not just I'm blaming a lot on Facebook and Instagram ad rates, but to your point, it's even search engine optimization on Google. They've got the ability to get above you, on that. But the other one is Amazon. I think it's around
Yeah.
50% of all e-commerce begins and ends on Amazon, which means Google searches and SEO, you're fighting for a share of half of e-commerce, when the rest is on Amazon. Amazon has become competitive where they have advertising you pay them for to be better and placed on their own platform, which is bizarre, by the way, in and of itself. Like, we'll list you. You want to be better than the guy next to you that we're also listing? Pay us more. Like, it's bizarre. But Amazon has another thing that's happening too. Is if you've seen, there's a lot of international, mainly Chinese companies listing product on Amazon directly, from these factories, and they can do it cheaper. They can ship directly from China, to the consumer, and they get the buy box slot, on Amazon, and can out compete a lot of the companies in the US. And so you start to see, as a consumer, even you might be ordering something, and you're like, what's this that showed up? It's not what I thought I was ordering. Because the way Amazon works, I don't know if a lot of people know this, is the listing with the photo and the description is not
Huh.
necessarily from the person who's selling the product. They pick the best listing and photo from a seller of that UPC code that it's matched to. But then whoever has the best price performance, that they put in the buy box as the one you're actually getting the product from, is not necessarily the same as the description. So if that person is sending you a different product, or made a mistake on the UPC code, or faked a UPC code to match that one, or whatever, you could have what you thought was a purple shirt, 100% cotton, show up as a pink polyester, thin thing, direct ship from China. I say that because I um, but but so that's another, issue that's happening too, is the competition within the Amazon environment, which is half of all e-commerce, is also now more challenging for the smaller US business to compete. And also the big companies are now selling direct on Amazon. So before, you could have a big brand have hundreds of resellers on Amazon who are, earning revenue, or certain ones would come in for the buy box, or whoever had inventory or whatever. And now the brand comes in themselves, wipes out all their distributors because they beat them out on price, and sells direct, sets up a whole store on Amazon and everything. And now that person all of a sudden can't sell on there anymore. Like, we had that happen many, many years ago with the product that we were bringing in a truckload at a time and selling it, and all of a sudden one day we're sitting on a bunch of inventory, is going, what just happened? Oh, the brand came in and is selling it direct on Amazon, and now we're sitting there with a truckload of inventory going, what do we do? So that, you know at every place, you have your advertising mainstays, which were Facebook and Instagram, increasing the cost to make it, impractical for smaller brands. You've got, you know, international, mainly Chinese brands and factories coming in to compete on products on there. You have the on Amazon alongside, the manufacturers themselves or the brands themselves, coming on if you're a reseller. Um, so there's a lot of and then TikTok, the last place where if you were creative enough and could get content out there that would bring you, customers and sales, now is going to go away, but from what we hear, will come back within a month, given the new administration coming in and what they're looking to
Yeah,
do.
actually, we started
So we'll
our
see how that plays out.
interview with TikTok. I want to address many other areas you cover, but this is the last question about TikTok in today's episode. So, what do you think? What is the future for TikTok? Because right now there is so much discussion going on. What is your opinion? What do you think?
Well, it'll, I mean,
Are
it's
you
going to be shut
sure?
down in two
Okay.
days. And then I, yeah, I'm pretty positive that will happen unless there's some weird, last minute thing. But from what I hear, within a month, possibly even within a week, it will come back online, with um, some new ways, I think, in which it will appease and address some of the concerns about security on there. Don't know if it'll really address all of them, but it's one of those things that, my personal opinion, if you're worried about national security, there's so many other places that are more susceptible to more impactful things than a social media network. Um, Facebook just removed moderation of posts on there, so you can do the same thing even now with a US company if you want to post on there and influence things and all that. So, um, it and the idea of, them blackmailing US citizens because they see their activity behind the scenes, and which, again, data centers are run by Oracle and in the US and all that, so there's only certain things that can be done. But, you know some hacker could go do that, many other places that people are doing things on, if they really wanted to. So I look at things more like, you know it's not necessary. And by the way, the whole irony that's happening of US consumers going to a social media platform owned and run and with servers from the Chinese Communist Party, like, that's so ironic, that the people in the US now voluntarily are knowingly doing that. But I think I said, if you're worried about national security, there's other places that are more direct and specific that should be focused on. This is an area that's really related to international commerce, and really the United States and China rely on each other so much, from a commercial standpoint and economic standpoint, for buying and selling, goods from each other. That this isn't the place
I know,
to,
I know. Actually,
take a
TikTok
weird
CEO
random
is
stand.
sponsoring the
Um,
inauguration. He's here, so hey, things can change, right? I don't know, means because he's here, he's sponsoring various things in the inauguration. We never know. Actually, the only thing predictable about our upcoming president is he's very unpredictable. Means, uh, yeah. So I don't know. Just keep the fingers
right.
crossed.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Means there are so many other areas where the national security can be worked on, and those areas are getting ignored. And so you are absolutely right. But yeah, so let me switch to other interesting point that you send fruitcake into space. How did you do that? How did you do that? Because
Yes. Well, I didn't go myself, but it's an interesting story. So we, years ago, it's probably like 17 years ago, One day our customer service person comes to me and says, for our e-commerce, direct to consumer website, says, "Oh, NASA's on the phone because one of the products they ordered we're out of, and they can't accept a substitution because their food lab has tested it, and it was little packets of Sue Bee brand honey, and we were trying to see if we, could give them a different packet of honey, and they said no." And so they're like, "What do we do?" And I said, "Let me talk to them." And I spoke to the people at NASA and I said, "First of all, you don't have to buy from our website. We'll put you in our wholesale department. So you have somebody to talk to and an account representative to work with." And I reached out to Subi Honey, and they're like, FedEx overnighted us a case of honey right to NASA at no charge, because they're like, we didn't even know this was happening. We didn't even know NASA was buying on our website. And I looked, and there was all these past orders for things that had gone up into space. And so from then on, we started working with them directly and helping source different products and things. And one day, the person reached out to me in the food lab and said, "We've got a challenge that one of the astronauts, they get to pick like their own food item that each one gets to pick that goes up. And this astronaut wanted a fruitcake for the holidays, and they said the problem is." All the fruitcake manufacturers in the United States use rum to preserve their fruitcake, and it has to last for a couple of years because at the time it was going up on Russian supply rockets. And they said, we're a government agency. We can't have alcohol in our food." So I said, "Okay, challenge accepted." And I verified. I call all the factories in the U.S. that make fruitcakes, and they all use rum. That's their recipe. So then I said, "Okay," and I start looking globally, and I find an abbey of monks in the United Kingdom who, for like 400 years, have been making, in their bakery, have been making fruitcake without rum, preserved for 2 years. They shipped 6 of them over to the NASA food lab because they needed that for testing. It passes, goes up into space. The astronaut emails the monks from the space station thanking them. I got clearance for the monks to use that in their press. And then 2 years later, the astronaut went up again and wanted his fruitcake, and so then the monks charged me, for the fruitcake, not a lot, but and we
So
sent fruitcake up to space
you have
twice.
many offers and many
That's the story.
companies. How can you manage that? Because I always hear the message, have only one core offer, focus on only one core offer, only one thing, one thing, one thing. But your profile is showing exactly opposite. So tell me, how did you end up being having so many companies?
Well, the one thing is they're actually all complementary to each other. So we can have a client who is a client of like 4 of those businesses. So the businesses really all feed in, and now they really all can feed into creation of brands alongside celebrities and creators, where we can be that infrastructure piece because of all this, that we can, make it or source it, fulfill it, product design it, market it, distribute it. So we have all these entities that really are now a machine that can physically create and grow brands. So that it's not like I went off and opened a restaurant, that is unrelated, to any of this. So it all does connect. I mean, it does mean I'm doing something different every 3 minutes of the day, um, and that you have to have good teams that can take leadership in the different things that they're doing. So that's another key thing. But had we focused just on the
Oh
e-commerce
man.
business, we'd be out of business, because over time, being a reseller of other people's brands,
Oh yeah.
Amazon eventually eats your lunch, based on the things we were talking about before. So that business, which was our core business in the beginning, is now really
I know
very, very
actually I
small by
have
comparison.
attended Amazon seminars and finally I realized that model is not for me because I remember because there are some exotic spices I wanted to sell from India and those spices actually I can get for $1 or something and Amazon wanted me to sell those spices for
Right.
$70 and they wanted to take the huge share and then they said you will be on the first page. So to be on the first page of Amazon you have to invest so much, you have to do so much. And I had a long discussion with them and that model didn't suit me. I said my conscience didn't allow me to sell $1 product for $70. And if they are going to take a huge portion of that,
Hmm.
they really have they take huge portion of that. I say there is no way. I should feel good. Okay, means if I'm selling something, of course, means I'm looking for profit, but not like $69 over $1 and all. That was means totally. So I said no.
Right.
Finally, I dropped that idea and I said, okay, I'm not, because I I was always open for ideas, and I think, okay, entrepreneurship, okay, let me see what. And they kept on having seminars in my area all the time. Oh, I said, no, this model is not suitable for me. So I don't want to go into details of that, but means basically, if you want to say any, yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things with e-commerce and the internet is things constantly change. Like you may be having that arrangement with Amazon one day, but then the next day there's somebody else who comes in who can sell it to them for 70 cents. And, and all of a sudden you're not the main person. So you never know what changes may be around the corner, no matter, what it is you're doing in sort of the e-commerce space, whether an algorithm changes on Facebook that that has happened over time that then changed people's advertising revenue returns, and or with YouTube, where creators at one point they made a major change to the algorithm that affected a lot of their income streams. And so when you rely on other platforms to bring you your customers and they make changes, sometimes those changes can be good for you, sometimes those changes can be bad for you. And if you rely too much on any one situation, that can kill your business immediate, overnight. And that's the interesting place, we live in. And it kind of relates to your other question of, having these different businesses, is you never know which one can be affected by different things. Like COVID comes along and changes ad revenues, which doesn't affect us, but if it affects all of our customers and they can't pay their bills to us, well, then that affects us. So there's a whole ripple effect that happens. And by the way, for those customers, it also affects the supply chain they buy from. And if they're not booking sales to those customers, then it affects the people in the supply chain. So anytime you have something that is a shock to a large system that happens very quickly, it can have, you know, really horrible effects for a while until the system can right itself. And so that's why it's never good for any very large system that is sort of humming along and in sync to have anything that happens very quickly and is a shock to that system, because it can have devastating effects. If you can do it slowly over time,
So
then
you
the
are a
system can
great
adjust.
example of not putting
And
all the eggs
that,
in one basket. Yeah. But many times I talk to people, they say,
yeah,
I have
yeah,
only one egg. So what are you talking about putting eggs in different baskets? So
yep.
yeah, they should think of side hustle. And as you mentioned before, right? So
Yeah, I mean, if you have a TikTok marketing agency and TikTok goes away, then you don't have a marketing agency, unless you do, other things with it. There are other platforms that you can do live selling with, but it means pivoting and all that. So that's, again, it's just the nature of the business situations that we live in with platforms in many cases, even Google and listings on Google and SEO, that changes, and all of a sudden your listings are different, and if you relied on that, then all of a
oh
sudden
yeah, because nowadays
you lose
SEO
customers
is
or gain
not
customers.
just
So
Google, it is TikTok
that
SEO, Pinterest SEO, YouTube SEO, Bing SEO. There's so many SEOs. So it is not, yeah, you cannot just depend
yeah,
on, yeah, Google.
yeah. And so big changes that happen to any large system
So you have so many
can
businesses.
greatly
What is
impact a
the
business.
one thing you focus on the business? Because there are few things which you can delegate, but there are few things only you have to do. So tell me one particular thing you focus on in so many businesses.
It's mostly, I would say, business development on things that are out of the box, not normal, and are large enough, and where it needs some creative thinking. So, if there's even if there's a customer who comes in who might need, multiple services from our different businesses, to be able to talk to them about all that at once, because each business will have their own person for them to talk to, but I may be the person that's best to talk to them about holistically how to look at how we can work with them, or sitting with, a celebrity or a creator about what their passion is for a particular product category, and being able to bring some innovative product ideas in that category that they're passionate about from all the people that I talk to and do is something that I'll spend some time with. But a lot of it is business development, even working on new businesses that sort of are offshoots of things that we're working on, new categories, that we're getting into. There's even some other businesses I haven't even mentioned that I'm partnered in, or helping other people out with, that um, play into things, and in many cases they're also, synergistic with other things that that I have and that I'm doing that play into it. So it's really seeing some of those opportunities that cross my desk and seeing how can we add value, with our infrastructure, or that I can add value in, or in some cases I'm just connecting people as,
So how about
good
dealing with
karma
celebrity?
to
Means,
help them out.
is it any different than dealing with a regular business person? How? Because I never dealt anything with celebrity. So yeah, I want to know your experience.
Yes. Yeah, it's absolutely different. So most celebrities and creators, I kind of put that together. You could use the word creator, as sort of the common influencer is the former word that people don't use anymore. But let's talk about creators. Um, they're they're instinctively have figured out a way to find
Hmm.
an emotional connection to an audience. They may not even be able to understand how and why and be able to articulate that, but they instinctively know how to do that. So when working with them on a product idea, their instincts often are good, because they're going to understand what resonates with customers, because that's what got them the followers and things in the first place. So their ideas on product and marketing and packaging and all that are going to be, expertise that you want to listen to, and also their ability to then go out and have passion and know how to market it and know how to be creative and know how to create content that an algorithm will, push out there, again, is right in their expertise. But in most cases, not all, most cases, their ability to do those things is because they're highly creative. But that generally means they're not necessarily, which, and there's exceptions to that, they're not necessarily great at the sort of left brain side of business and doing all the task oriented things that you need to do, and projections for operations and manufacturing and financial stuff and paperwork and coordinations and things like that. So that's where, for them, they recognize the need to have a partner do all that, worry about it, both from the physical time it takes up because they're busy, doing their career of what they do, but also from a skill set perspective, so they don't make mistakes, just from lack of experience in doing those things, and they can tap into people who may have made those mistakes 20 years ago and learn from them. So that is the interesting aspect of a partnership, like that, working with them. But it also depends on the person, and creators and celebrities, oftentimes the nature of why they got into doing what they're doing, um, and can affect how they view a business relationship and how they view a partnership. Some really understand it and put the right value on it, and know how to be good partners. Other ones may not. They may view themselves as a bigger factor in everything, and not understand, because they haven't done it, not understand the difficulty, value, and expertise that it takes to do the execution side of it. So it depends, and just like with people, there's all kinds of people who, have different approaches to things, and different ways in which they can look at value on things, and so that, that can be fantastic, in great situations that sync up together, but it can be problematic in others. And so that's where, finding
But
the right
how about the
situations
ego?
of who and
Because
how to partner
celebrities,
makes sense.
especially the celebrities I know from
That's what I was
Bollywood,
talking about in a polite way.
they are loaded with ego. So how about
Yeah, and I said it, but you can have an ego, but still respect the fact that other people can do things that you don't have experience with, and put the proper value on those things and those skills and ability. So just because there's an ego there doesn't necessarily mean they lack that ability to be a good partner. Sometimes it does. If they believe really they're the, hey, just, making a product and shipping it and designing it, whatever, that doesn't matter. That's easy stuff. The hard part is what I do. I can get the eyeballs, I can bring in the people, and therefore I should get 99% of the revenue, or whatever. I'm exaggerating, but so you do have people like that because they just don't understand what it takes to do something, and they've never been exposed to it. But you do have a lot of, creators and celebrities. I would actually say the majority, um, may or may not have an ego, but still understand what it is they don't know and don't know how to do, and put a good, value on that, and can come together as a good partner. um, and that's just like with any business situation. Doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. You can have business partners you're looking to get into business with who don't value, your contributions the same way they value their own, because of their ego. And then you have ones who are the opposite, and they value you too much and not value yourself, and you have to be like, no, 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 you should be an equal partner. What are you talking about? Like, you actually help them, give them some ego on it. So it's, people are people, and
thank you, thank you. That was
you have all
really
types.
very informative. So you mentioned that you do outside of box and creative thinking and all. So how it is applicable for entrepreneurs? So can you just give some tips for entrepreneurs to think outside of box?
Yeah, if the when you look at your product or the way in which you're marketing something, um, if you're doing the same thing as everybody else, then it's a really heavy competition for those eyeballs, and now you may be competing over just price, or, and you may not be able to do that if you're a smaller entrepreneur. So you have to figure out really, and not to fool yourself that you can just make a product and put it on Amazon and it will sell. Like, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who just, they believe in themselves and their passion, and just say, yeah, you just got to do it and grind it out. May not work, if you're not looking at why people would buy your product and being honest about that, and, with yourself. And so that, and a lot of it really comes down to eyeballs. How can you get eyeballs on your product, and where are those eyeballs for your particular product? Those eyeballs for a B2B medical device are going to be in a different place than it is for, buying a pen. So it depends. So you have to understand, where are your eyeballs, what type of person, what age group, whatever, like, where do they go, and how do I put myself there, and how do I put myself in a way that isn't necessarily directly competitive. And going back to sort of the movie and TV days of mine with storytelling, if you can emotionally connect with somebody, and you can give them a reason to share that story and that emotional connection with somebody else, you can make a sale even if you're not the cheapest one in your category, because you've given them value in being able to tell other people that story. In a weird way, you're doing the entire reason that social media exists. Social media is based in part on ego. People will post something from somebody else because it makes them look good if other people see that they found this and posted it. It's the old, water cooler, conversations, the old, like, I've got this cool little band I've got to tell you about that nobody knows, and it'll make you look good because you shared that cool band. But the moment that band is big and you talk about it, you're not cool anymore, and you're not going to talk about it because it doesn't play on your ego. So in a way, if you can create a connection, create a story, be, you know, make somebody laugh or cry, or like you do something from a storytelling perspective with the content that you're creating around your product, not just look at this pen, it's $1.99, it has black ink and a great grip and a clicky at the top, and it's a point .9, fine point, whatever. Like, nobody cares, actually. When entrepreneurs are honest that your features being better than somebody else, you have to look at that and actually say nobody cares. What you need to do is you need to say things like, this pen changed my life yesterday. With this pen, I was able to, sign a contract that, changed my life with my business. And now I carry this pen everywhere. And this pen has, emotional meaning for me. And this is a pen you should carry with you and be able to tell your story of what you can do with this pen in your life. Like, all of a sudden, someone's like, "Oh my God, I got to get this pen to like do my own stories," or I made that up
No,
on the
no, that
spot,
is
but
actually
not
the
not necessarily a
greatest
great example. But you
example
get the
I
idea
can
of like,
tell about storytelling, because storytelling is the thing going on right now. But you put it in such
yeah,
a great and concise way that you add value to other people's lives. You focus on transformation and not on features. That's the bottom line. Means that's the best thing anyone can tell
yeah,
anything about the storytelling, because there are actually hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of storytelling courses out there. But I think what you taught us in these few sentences are way worth more than those courses. That is my opinion.
yeah. No, I'd say it's a great takeaway, because I mean, it's even what we're doing with our TikTok agency, is working on storytelling and not just selling features with a person sort of hyping to the camera, which is what, if you think about it, if 99% of people, get back to this pen example, if 99% of people are out there, selling pens, talking about their features and why one feature is better than the other, and you come along and can connect the pen emotionally to somebody, you beat out all your competition. You beat out all 99% of their people that are fighting over the same words. And oh, my feature here is better than your feature there. No, my feature here has been your feature. All of a
Yeah,
sudden, you come
you're
in and emotionally
absolutely
connect
right.
with
Yeah,
somebody, you
sorry,
beat
go
them all
ahead.
out.
Yeah,
And
because
that, yeah,
because the features
no,
are
so that
actually
that
maybe
yeah, go ahead.
they are convincing your brain. But when you are emotionally connected, it is actually heart to heart talk. And then you are telling your subconscious mind, means even your prospect subconscious mind. And most of the decisions are taken from subconscious mind, because once, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, say I use the word share worthy. What you want to do with your storytelling is you want to do something that is worth somebody else sharing to somebody else. And if you can think about it, is my story share worthy? Is my emotional connection, is my content share worthy, where someone's going to want to share this? If you can put that challenge onto yourself, that's the best way to look at your storytelling and address it. Because some people may think they're telling a story, but it's not share worthy. It's not that interesting. Yeah, you told the story, but who cares? So think about it in like, is this something, if you saw it, would you repost this on your social media to make you look good because there's this cool story? And now all of a sudden, that's a different level of storytelling that you have to do. It's not just, may not even be just like, oh, this pen, saved my career with finding like, okay, nobody cares. I'm not going to share about some guy over here whose company was saved with a pen. Like, um, but if the guy said, I, you know, um, assassinated the president of Malaysia with this pen. I'm picking that from the Zoolander movie, but like, and or something, or maybe even pretended it and did a whole parody of that movie with their pen as to what would have happened had that actually played out in the movie, and his stare at the camera didn't stop the thing, like, and like, it did a funny bit, as and so now someone would share that because it's like, oh, this is what would have happened in Zoolander had he not, saved the day, and they made a comedy bit, and now people are going to share this comedy bit, and they're going to buy the pen to be like, oh, this is the pen from that comedy bit. um so that, is another way of thinking about it. That would be something that's share worthy, and not necessarily to everybody if you didn't know the movie or like the movie, or maybe the thing was funny in and of itself even if you didn't know the movie. But the point is putting that share worthy challenge to yourself when you're
Your point
doing
about being
content about your
share-worthy,
brand
that
and your
is so
products.
important, and especially for affiliate marketers. Now, I have various offers, and I use affiliates who can promote my offers. But if my offers are not share-worthy, they are not going to promote them. So many of actually people in my audience, they
Right.
are affiliate
Right.
marketers, and so this is a really great point for them. So they are going to take offer only which is share-worthy, which they are convinced about, and then they are going to share with their audience.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. It means you're just blessing my audience. You're giving nuggets after nuggets, and so I still have a lot of questions. I don't know how much time do you have because okay, okay. So what is the big thing
You can
in
get
the
going.
creator
Happy to
economy?
continue.
What do you think? What is the next big thing in the creator economy?
Well, the two big things, obviously, I'm doing them because I believe in them being the next thing. One is just creators being entrepreneurs backing consumer products. I think Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz recently talked about that the future of a lot of consumer products are going to be driven by creators partnering with brands or launching their own brands, because that's where the eyeballs are. I've got teenage kids, and they look at TikTok and YouTube, and that's where they learn about product. It's not Saturday morning cartoon TV commercials like when we were younger, where you learn about product. So looking at where the eyeballs go, and now that they're in the creator economy, and the power of that is creators can actually embed the product within the piece of entertainment, not just as product placement where it stands in the background like in the olden days. But the great example I like to use is Mr. Beast, who spent a couple $1 million building an entire set of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in a warehouse with chocolate rivers. I mean, to do his funny comedy bits and entertainment, and that 50 100 plus million people view. But he launched a chocolate company right around then, Feastables, which that was an entire commercial in essence for Feastables. And so, but now consumers are accepting of it being a commercial, and in fact will go and buy the product to support the entertainment value and enjoyment they got from the creator. The power of that concept right there, that not only is your advertising not interruption marketing where you're interrupting somebody from what they wanted to do, you're embedding it in what they want to do and actually making them want to buy the product to support what it is they're doing. That is a massively powerful concept in the world of advertising. I think people have yet to really understand the value of that. And when they do, and when they understand how to do it correctly, when creators understand how to do that, like the way Mr. Beast did with that, there's going to be an immense shift, I think, in a lot of what we see with marketing and advertising and creators and brands and all that. And the other one is live selling. And I said, when more than 30% of all e-commerce in China has developed into live selling, we have a history of that from the mid 80s with, QVC and then HSN. But now doing that, on your cell phone with social, selling within a social media platform, which TikTok is, looking to be the pioneer of, because they're bringing that over from China, where we're 5 years behind, the evolution of that industry over there. I think, Gary Vaynerchuk has talked about that 2025 being the year of live selling in the US. So I think that's another space,
So you
that
have so much
is going to be
experience
something we
in
see over the
digital
next year or so.
marketing. What do you think the next trend in digital marketing?
Um, I mean, apart from things like live selling, the I think um, the one other area that you see in the creator space is collaborations, collabs as they call them, where you'll have two creators basically understand they have complementary audiences that they can introduce to each other, and both can get a lift from that. The same thing I think is going to happen in the brand space, where you can have complementary brands come together and share audiences, with each other, essentially through a collaborative promotion. We've had some of that historically over time, even before the internet and all that, where brands could come together. But there's that's generally not been a primary. That was a very aggressive, out of the box thing to do. I think still is in the mentality of a lot of business and marketing people here in the U.S. But I think we're going to see, when people understand that they have an audience and somebody else has an audience, and they could sit and pay a lot of money to advertise to get that audience that other person has. But if they just did, a piece of content together or a promotion to give each other a discount or whatever, or bundle it together, or however they do their collaboration, that they can actually capture that audience for free, or for whatever discount or thing, or maybe they're just creating a piece of content. It doesn't even cost them, a discount on their product. So when you start realizing the power of collaborations across brands, and I think some of that may even be driven by creators understanding that they can collaborate. So when they both have brands, then you can have them collaborate with their brands with each other. Then other brands who may not be creator backed will start to see, wait a minute, look at all these collaborations happening. So that's the other thing that we're doing with sort of building this venture studio, around creator and celebrity consumer products brands, is we see the value of that sort of portfolio theory of being able to do collaborations across
Collaboration is
multiple brands
really
that would be
great
in that
thing. It
portfolio.
helped my business big time. And now I saw you have joint venture offers and all.
Yeah,
Yeah, even I have actually joint venture free community and also paid community. So people can come and collaborate with each other. And I recommend to aspiring solopreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, small business owners to use collaboration, because this is the smart way to scale. You don't have to spend huge money into ads. You are just borrowing other people's audiences, and it is a win-win-win situation, because yeah,
right.
because the person who is sharing their audience, they also win, and
Absolutely.
the audience wins because they are getting the great new offer. It is a win-win-win situation. Means why wouldn't anyone use that? And there are so many ways to
Absolutely.
collaborate with each other, and really that is a great trend coming up. And I've really got lots of advantages of that, and I highly recommend to, yeah, all solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners collaborate. But I didn't know even the big creators also are looking forward to collaborate. So that's a really, yeah, great thing to know. Absolutely right. So what? Oh, go ahead. No,
Yeah.
you were
No.
saying
Yeah.
something. Sorry.
Go. Okay.
Okay. So
No, I was just going to agree with
what
you
are
that,
you
yeah.
looking
No, go
forward
ahead.
to do next? What is your next step?
So really looking forward to leveraging our infrastructure into, being able to create more. We've done some, but more of these celebrity and creator backed consumer products brands that are based on innovation and not just based on selling product to their audience, but leveraging their ability to bring that audience and bring those initial eyeballs to kind of kickstart an awareness of a product that would stand on its own if only people knew it existed. And so taking those innovative and clever product concepts and getting them to come to market with a chunk of eyeballs right behind it, getting it out there. I really like that model and leveraging all of our service businesses into that, which also helps the value proposition for those brands if you're not sort of paying all your service money to third parties, but keeping it in-house within, this
So who is your
collective of businesses. So
Okay, thank you.
that's
So,
what
who is
that's what
your
I'm looking forward
ideal
to.
customer? Because I see you work with celebrities, but do you also work with budding solopreneur, aspiring entrepreneurs, small business owners?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the bulk of our customer base for our 3PL, fulfillment business, so minimusfulfillment.biz. So for like your audience that might, be graduating out of the garage and doing, 10, 20 orders a day, 5 days a week, direct to consumer or equivalent, pick and packs on a wholesale basis. Um, So or they're just not happy with a 3PL that is not as nimble and communicative as they need based on the nature of their business, which is true for a lot of small businesses. They're constantly changing and doing things, and the big sort of larger companies can't move that quickly to the needs of a smaller business. So that's where we have a lot of our customers, coming from. And it could even be somebody who's at 100 orders a day or 1,000 orders a day. We have clients, or even more than 1,000 orders a day. We have them at all levels. And the same thing with our contract packaging facility. We're really built to scale, from small. Our minimum order is $2,500 in our co-packing facility, which is unheard of, in the industry for the most part. So that, is where we can really help, if they've got a new SKU they're launching and their current co-packer can't do it, or their current co-packer um, can't do a particular format of their SKU. Like, oh, they can do large bottles but not small, or they can do the powder in the jars but they can't do powder in a packet, or like we can come in and help, with either an SKU extension, a new SKU, or maybe if it's a new product they're bringing to the market. We also love specialty stuff that like nobody else can do, where we have to bring in like custom equipment or something and really work with them. We've got a few like, you know, venture backed or finance backed, um, companies that are doing some really innovative things in consumer products, where there's no equipment that you can buy off the shelf to do their product. And for them to do it, they'd have to build the whole facility and get all the regulatory things, and it just wouldn't make sense for them to do that and make all the mistakes one might make to do that. So they can work with us and partner, and then we can bring in that equipment or customize a piece of equipment, or help them figure it out from knowing what we know within our business, to then really work with them on their solution. So we've got a few situations like that, where we've got some companies that can, customize equipment or make some modifications on equipment based on the peculiar
You
invention or thing
know,
that the
that is
the
such a
brand
great
has.
service because we as a family, we always watch Shark Tank. And Shark Tank, you will see the people come over there, they have a dream and they have some kind of success, little bit of success, but whenever it comes to the fulfillment, they struggle a lot. And sharks actually, they are willing
Yeah.
to invest only where that problem is solved, because many times they say, oh, you don't have fulfillment properly
Yep.
set, I'm not going to invest into your deal. So yeah, basically, have you ever
Right.
been on a
Yeah.
Shark Tank, or have you ever worked with someone on the Shark Tank? Or
Yes, we have clients who've been on there. So absolutely. The other aspect of that show, which I always find fascinating, is how many people don't know what factoring or PO finance is. And a lot of entrepreneurs who go on that show have purchase orders from major retailers, and it seems that they're looking for, they may be looking for a commercial, TV commercial for their brand. But it seems like they're looking for equity financing for something where they can go to a factoring company, a PO finance company, especially when you have a major retailer that's bankable on that, in order to finance that. And you pay your few percent, up to maybe about 6% if you're both PO finance and factoring it over typical terms and lead times and all that. So if you've got 6% you can give up as cost of money, um, or if you can afford, part of it, you don't need the PO finance, you just need the
that's okay.
factoring. Sorry, sneezing there. um, the uh, that's the solution. You don't need to bring in equity. So um, a lot of entrepreneurs don't know stuff like that exists. And there's all sorts of other alternative financing vehicles out there too. They can finance against inventory, they can finance against cash flow, they can, some of those are more expensive than, a major retailer giving you a PO that you can factor and PO finance against. That'll be cheaper, than other things. And even cheaper than that is a line of credit with your bank. So, when you're healthy, is when you want to establish when you don't need it is when banks will give you money. um, and when you do need it is when these alternative financing people will do it at massive interest rates that you can't afford. So, um, definitely, for some of these smaller businesses when they're growing and doing well, to get prepared for what may be outside of their ability to finance and cash flow things, should get lines of credit with banks and things when everything is great and they don't actually need it, because when you do need it down the
Thank
road,
you.
you
I
won't be able to
asked
get it.
most of the questions what I wanted to ask. I won't say all because it looks like I may have to go for the second episode. But do you want to give any parting message, and do you want to cover something which I didn't cover?
No, I think we went through a lot. I said, happy to help your audience and in any way possible with anything that was usable from anything I was saying, or even as a service company, if there's any way in which we can help your audience, whether it's fulfillment with minimusfulfillment.biz, my quick plug, or contract packaging at minimusproducts.biz. Um, those are probably the best places where we can help brands. There's certainly TikTok marketing agency, stuff with that's the digitalcommerceagency.com. But I just like sort of getting out there and giving back and helping other entrepreneurs, and I enjoy the journey and I enjoy solving things and growing things, and I know that's what
You
um, other entrepreneurs enjoy too. So if they're up there, listening to you and your podcast to learn and figure out ways they can improve what they're doing, I'm always excited to be able to help. And I got a lot of advice and things along the
you
way,
you
and
partially answered my
you know
next two
would love
questions.
to
My
impart that
next
to.
two
Yeah,
questions were one of the questions was what are your offers and for whom those are. You partially already told that. And second question was
yeah.
where one someone can find you if they want to follow you, if they want to contact you, what are the channels. So you answered both the questions partially, but yeah, so if you want to add into more into these two questions, yeah.
Yeah, you can reach me directly, probably on LinkedIn, Paul Schrater, Shrater. Set up a website, but it doesn't have any email on it yet. It was paulschrater.com, but that sort of has my bio on there. But um, LinkedIn would be a good way to reach me, or through any kind of, if it's for services relating to one of those companies, then you can go through there and get it. It'll get to me, and or if there's other joint venture ideas or other business collaborations, I love that kind of stuff too. I love out of the box
Yeah,
thinking and
thank you, because I am
again,
all for
collaboration.
collaboration. So
So,
basically, even though
so
our this
the
episode will be
win-win-win,
done
as you
and
pointed out.
published,
Yeah,
I think I will
yeah,
still contact you for collaboration because yeah, means I have a membership that's actually there are two pillars. One is basically PLR and MRR, that is private label right products and master resale right products, and second pillar is just on collaboration with. And I have actually course also on 27 ways to collaborate. So I'm going to implement that and I will be in touch with you even after our episode is published. I'm looking forward to collaboration. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for coming and giving your precious time and blessing our family, our community. Really, thank you and God bless you. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and hopefully it's helpful to your audience.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We are blessed to have you as part of our community, and whatever way we can help you, serve you, let us know. Please subscribe and let us know how we can help you, what resources you want. We have lots of free resources and also free collaboration joint venture groups you can join and explode your business, because most solopreneurs quit their business before they launch their first products, and I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we have special launch service where you can monetize your digitals and become profitable as fast as within 7 days. And if you want to scale your business, join our membership New Beginning Success Collaboration, where we'll provide you MRR and PLR products and collaborations so that you can scale your business with ease and effortlessly. And hey, if you want to sell your digitals all over the world, yes, we will provide you affiliates more than 200 countries. So everything is possible. Just live your dream, follow your dream, and whichever way we can help you, do let us know. Thank you and God bless you.